Swim Across America is absolutely vital to our efforts to develop new therapies using the immune system for cancer. And in fact, our laboratory, which has been named the Swim Across America Laboratory, derives almost half of its total budget from Swim Across America. We are unbelievably grateful to Swim Across America for what they do to allow us to continue to bring new therapies out of the laboratory and to our patients who need them so badly. Our focus in the lab, as I said, is to figure out a way to use the immune system to treat cancer. And as everyone knows, the conventional ways of treating cancer involve surgery, and radiation, and chemotherapy. And we know that about half the people in the United States are cured or put in remission from cancer using those conventional modalities. However, we need to think about how to address the other half of the people and how to make the remissions that are obtained more durable. And being that the immune system can have a memory, we know that we're vaccinated as children and we're sometimes protected from diseases for life based upon childhood immunization. It's clear that the immune system can remember what it sees, and so it would be important to try to generate an immune response to cancer. Some of our initial efforts using the support of Swim Across America were an attempt to develop vaccines for several kinds of cancer, including melanoma, prostate cancer, breast cancer, and lymphoma. We've now vaccinated well over 100 patients with experimental vaccines developed in the SWIM lab for those various forms of cancer. And in fact, we have also vaccinated pets that develop spontaneous cancer with some of these vaccines. And our melanoma vaccine is the first approved cancer vaccine in the US for pet cancer. And we're quite proud of that, and we are obviously very eager to see the human clinical trials of that and similar vaccines moving forward. But that result is really a testament to how important it is to take the brave step from the laboratory into the clinic with a novel therapy and test it in a very realistic setting. You know, certainly we are very dependent upon the scientific results that we get in the laboratory, but that's very different than using it in a human being or a pet that has spontaneous cancer. Very different from the laboratory models that we have. In addition to developing vaccines, we are now also completely engaged in using new antibody therapies that try to change the immune response so that it sees cancer better. And we have conducted many clinical trials in the past year using new antibody therapies actually developed by Jim Allison, who is the chair of immunology here, and we have had some very exciting results in melanoma and prostate cancer with these new immune antibody therapies. In the future, what we see is bringing some additional antibody therapies out of the laboratory right now. We are working on a new set of antibody-based drugs that don't have names yet, but we believe that these represent the next generation of immune therapy for cancer. And we are very excited to bring these into the clinic in combination with the vaccines that we have developed already. All of this work definitely excites us and is the reason why we get out of bed in the morning ready to try and continue to tackle the cancer problem. We also recognize that we are living in a time of difficult financial support for cancer research. And even though our laboratory has received the highest ratings from the National Institutes of Health in terms of our federal grants, that amount of funding is insufficient for continuing the progress that we have started in the past almost 15 years that Swim Across America has supported us. So we continue to look forward to support from Swim Across America as our major philanthropic donor supporting the laboratory efforts that we have ongoing right now.
We've been involved with SWIM for the last couple years, and I think our lab is a little different than many because I'm a clinician and I take care of patients. Specifically, I'm a surgeon, And at the same time, I do laboratory research, and I also run clinical trials. I'm going to talk about two of the projects that we're involved in. The first is cancer that involves the liver. So why is the liver important in cancer? Well, it turns out that the liver is the #1 site of where a cancer will go to, an advanced cancer that is. So a tumor can come from the breast, the colon, pretty much any of the organs and spread to the liver. And in fact, many cancer patients ultimately die because the cancer is spread to the liver. The liver is a very fertile environment for tumor to grow, and so it tends to grow there faster than even the original site where it developed. So one of the most important immune cells in the body is a group of cells called dendritic cells. And we've been studying them for about 10 years now, and we've made many advances in understanding how they work in mice. Approximately 2 years ago, we started studying dendritic cells in humans, and really for the first time, we've now published results looking at the function of dendritic cells in the livers of human cancer patients. And what we have found is very remarkable. So although these cells are the most important for directing immune responses, it turns out if you take these cells out of the liver of patients with liver tumors that we've operated on, the cells are very inactive and very weak. And we think this is a large part of why the immune system cannot fight against cancers that have spread to the liver. So we are now studying these cells in detail. We've made a number of findings already, and now we're at the point where we're studying ways to increase their function. We think this has promise for human beings, and again, we're uniquely positioned because we do laboratory research and clinical trials and take care of patients, that when we discover something in our laboratory or in the animal models that we use, that we could immediately test this in human beings. The second project I'm going to talk about is a little more directly related to our swim team, which is named Sarcoma No Mo, and Janet Lasley is the captain of our team. In this project, we are studying a rare type of tumor. It's called a gastrointestinal stromal tumor. It turns out to be the most common sarcoma. Sarcoma is a type of cancer, most common sarcoma of the intestinal tract. And we've spent about the last 10 years studying this tumor, and this is an example of a tumor where huge breakthroughs have been made just recently, mostly around the discovery of a drug called imatinib, or also known as Gleevec. And we were the leader of the national trials. There were 2 main trials in the United States, and we were the people that wrote these trials and led them. And the larger of the trials just came due, and what we have found is that this drug is very effective in reducing the likelihood of the tumor coming back after the original tumor has been removed. And so this has been a huge breakthrough for patients with this uncommon tumor. The tumor happens about in 5,000 new patients every year in the United States. So it may not be a tumor that makes it onto the front cover of a major newspaper or magazine, but the treatment has been revolutionized for patients with this problem. And because of the trial that we just ran, the FDA has now approved the use of this drug for patients after the initial removal of their tumor. Lastly, it's hard not to talk about what a organization like SWIM means for a clinician and a laboratory scientist, because of the difficulties that we have currently with NIH funding. And although you'll hear lots of things in the news about different monies being freed up to give to scientists, the overall picture is still relatively bleak in terms of driving additional research over the next 5 years. We've been funded by several grants from the NIH over the last 10 years, so we've been fortunate in that regard, but the current funding over the next couple years does not look that promising, and it's really organizations like SWIM that allow us to keep doing what we're doing and hopefully get to the next breakthrough in cancer therapy.